Mustang. You know, we've been calling that car for so long, but this is a different wrap, different livery on it.
Yeah, I know. It's weird, huh? Here we go then. The Genetta's lights are off on our safety car, and we have a huge field of muscle cars led by a Lamborghini and a Ford Mustang.
Ernie Francis is next to the car that he's going to next.
Yeah, that's weird, isn't it? Yeah, we're expecting him to be racing Super Trofeos fairly soon, which is perfect for him. I think he'll become an excellent sports car driver. But it's time to take the old girlfriend out for a run, and that's exactly what he's doing, because he's just taken the lead as he's done so many times at Sebring before. And Ernie Francis rolling back the years, and Ernie Francis, our 7-time Trans Am, one of the greats, back in action after 2 years away from the sport. Did Indy next for the last 2 years, and looks as though he's going to be turning his hand. Oh, we've got a
Frank Ciappatini spinning between 1 and 3. Hopefully everybody avoids that.
I think they did. Luckily. Big moment, though. Meanwhile, Ernie is off and running under the bridge way before anybody else.
Now, Ernie prefers these Goodyear tires. He thinks they're faster. So we're going to see. We can compare his times from a couple of years ago till now, and we'll see what he thinks. There's that Tony Stewart car.
Yep, the smoke on the go. Here he comes. The number 20. Edward Sebring at the wheel.
Alan Sebring, his dad.
Yep. Yeah, it says Edward, but it's Alan. Edward was out earlier, right?
Yeah. Does it say Edward, though? He might be in it.
It says Edward on my...
Might be.
Yeah, well. We're watching the Ganassi team roll up on their Indy cars, so it's kind of cool watching them all come in. So some good racing in the midfield. And as you can see, Trans Am versus NASCAR versus Trans Am versus Porsche. It's a nice little muscle car medley in many ways. So I hope you're enjoying it. The old car of tomorrow. Is that an oxymoron? Because they're saying it reminds you of the old car of tomorrow, the Dodge.
Yeah, I guess that's about right.
But you know, I know what he means.
Yeah.
Because it was called the car of tomorrow, but it's now old.
Uh-oh, look at that. We got a pass there at 16. Who is that?
Well, Ernie's off and running. This is typical Ernie Francis style. Breathless, of course. His family team. And he fettles and works on the cars himself, or he used to.
Rusty Wallace, Tony Stewart going into 17 together.
Come on now, biggity, biggity, boogity. Rusty Wallace.
I love it.
Stewart. You never thought you'd hear an Englishman say that, did you?
I didn't, no, and I love it. You know, I always love our last races of the day, you know, when our meds have worn out and we're just having some fun up here. But look at that, Tony Stewart looking back inside on Rusty Wallace.
Well, Francis has crossed the line, and he's already built a 6-second lead over Capizzi. Jeff Rocco in third, Sebring in fourth, Collier in fifth. Is it Cider?
Blaze Chitta.
Chitta. Blaze Chitta. Yeah, of course, BC Race Cars. He's the man behind that. I heard you interview him earlier in the day in Trans Am. Looking forward to TA tomorrow. And rumor has it Ernie might just show up for that, just for grins.
Yeah, it's going to be great. He's in A.J. Hendrickson's Dodge. And a really well-prepared car. A.J. won it with us at the Worldwide Technology Raceway last year.
That's right.
Or not, got second, I believe. Sorry about that. And there's Ike Keeler in that Bud Moore-looking car. And then I'm not sure who's in that Bill Elliott-looking car right there. That's Scott Frazier? Yeah, Scott Frazier in the Dodge Chargers. That was like the Ray Evernham, Bill Elliott era of NASCAR.
So Scott Fraser in the D9D.
Doing really well. You know, go from a Sprigget to a stock car is quite a jump.
Yeah, that's quite a jump. Chase Elliott, of course, in action last weekend in the 500. I'm sure Bill was watching on.
We're doing an all-star race at Lime Rock in July, the Speed Tour all-star race, where we have Bill Elliott running with us.
Oh, that'd be cool.
That's the other breathless car out there. I think that's Ricci.
Yeah, Dave Ricci.
Dave Ricci in a Chevrolet Camaro. Again, there's my camera mount. See right there above the Trans Am thing. Yeah. As they come through Bennett Bridge Hall, Bishop's Bend, and I'm hearing that we're going to have a safety car is standing up, so we're about to have a full course caution as Rusty Wallace has the advantage over Smoke going into 17, but double yellow's been called.
Yeah, and that puts paid to Ernie Francis's huge gap. but that's good for us. We'll take it. Ernie built up over 6 seconds coming into that caution.
I missed out, Jonathan. I should have asked Ernie to start at the back of the grid.
Ha!
And you know, Ernie Francis Sr., talking to RC, because he's been racing here at Sebring for years in the Miata races, and no matter where Ernie would usually qualify first, and Senior would make him start at the back, because he said, you need to learn how to pass people. Like back when he was like 13 years old. And RC said, yeah, by 4 or 5 laps, there's Ernie Francis Jr. back up to the front.
That's cool, though. Well, that's what Connor Zillage is doing in the modern day.
Yeah. That is Paul Mortimer there in that beautiful Porsche. I like the new rear end of these Porsches. It just came out a couple years ago.
What do you like about it?
I don't know, the light bar and the little bit of like a little spoiler there. I just like the look of that. Because they don't change, as we talked about, they don't change the body style much at Porsche.
Not a great deal. That's why I asked. I was like, well, how different is it? So we're under caution here in our Group 10, race 1 of the weekend. And it is very much, as John Marine points out, Trans Am versus NASCAR versus Stuttgart. And it is awesome to see the number 98 out there again in the hands of the very talented Ernie Francis Jr. And he seems like he's been around forever, but he's still in his 20s.
It's cool to see Rusty Wallace and Tony Stewart going at it again.
I mean, you know, rolling back the years.
And then also just, you know, we've known Blaze Chitta as the crew chief, you know, at BC Race Cars.
Yeah.
But to see him out there, you know, I didn't know he was a race car driver. And it's really cool to see him out there, too. Sit down. I'm putting you on. Come on, Rob. You know all about these. Yeah, come on. Sure you don't want to?
Well, we had an ambulance on track, so I don't know what was the problem. Meanwhile, Ernie Francis, he has slowed down, but he was so far ahead of everybody that, look, he's catching up to the Ginetta now.
Yeah. You know, I spoke to Juan Gonzalez this weekend because, what was it, Thursday night, okay, sunset, I'm out there putting up the brake markers, and I go around turn 6, and there's some Sebring staff and crew, and there's Wayne Estes, the track president, out there putting up mission stickers with his crew, and it's beautiful sunset. And after we were done, we kind of both looked at each other and like, why are we in the mood for Mexican food? I'm always in the mood for Mexican food. So I talked to Juan Gonzalez about that the next day, and he said psychologically, red and yellow make you hungry. You know, and that little logo just kind of, you just get ingrained in that. And so that's why Wendy's, McDonald's, you know, all these restaurants are red and yellow. Yeah, and Mission Foods, exactly. But it was so cool to see the track president out there applying the Mission stickers all over the place for the 12 Hours of Sebring during a beautiful sunset. And now, I'm going to say this right now. I'm just going to name it and claim it. We are at Mission Foods Laguna Seca over Cinco de Mayo. So we got to do something about that. Get a mariachi band, bring in some Mexican catering, and have a party. I think so.
Is that a Trans Am event?
I don't. It is a Trans Am Western Championship event.
Gotcha.
There is Alan Davison there with the FPEC. Speaking of food, FPEC is Food Processing Equipment Company out of Arkansas. They do a lot of, if you've ever had a chicken nugget, that basically came from his machines. As we look double yellow, now these cars can speed up to try to catch up in a safe way to the pace car. But it looks like they're kind of going out there at their leisure, as you would say, John.
Taking their time. But eventually they will catch up. Line astern. Now, officially, we've only got 8 minutes left of this race, so we want to go green again as soon as we can. I'm not quite sure of what the holdup is. We did see a car and an ambulance on track, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything. It could just be moving position. There's Dave Rishi in that breathless prepared car.
It's really cool to have Ernie Francis Sr. and Monica back in the paddock. You know, that's the really neat thing about these Speed Tour, Trans Am, SVRA, IGT events is the paddock becomes your family. You know, we spend about a week, a month together, it ends up averaging about that. So you do become really close with everybody out there.
Sure.
And, we've kind of missed him while he's been in the Indy Next and now going to the Super Trofeo. Now, this 98, what is that? That is Tom Forgione, a Ford Thunderbird. I'm not sure that was a NASCAR car. It looks like maybe like more of a late model type car. But I'm hearing that we're probably not going to get back out, Jonathan.
Ah, shame.
So we're going to get the checker flag. So say it. Let's go. Who's going to win this race another time, Jonathan?
Well, it's Sebring, the man from, is it Jupiter, Florida, I think it is originally?
I think near there, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's produced some great race drivers, and Ernie Francis Jr. is one of them. And he has delighted the world of Trans Am over the last 10 years.
Just such a nice person.
Yeah, just a great guy to be with. Always helpful, works on the cars himself, is a workaholic when it comes to racing and lives and breathes it. Hence, he's a 7-time champion, and he's going to take another checkered flag and another win. This time in Group 10, his first ever, I would have thought, in SVRA Group 10.
That I know of.
That
yeah,
I know
sure.
of. Certainly the first time in his 98 winning championship car. There we go. Takes the double yellow checkered flag, the Mission Foods checkered flag, and yes, I'm starting to think of food. Second place goes to Jeff Rocco, Edward Savagian in third, Brian Collier in fourth position, Blaze Cheddar in fifth, Charles Wicht in sixth place, Mark Mercurio in seventh, Tom McGlynn in eighth, Ike Keeler in ninth, and Randy Walker rounding out the top.